Hi Stitchy friends, welcome to my channel, both those who are returning and those who may be new here. Today is Tuesday, April 23rd. I am home from work. I have been feeling poorly for the last several days, but hopefully I'll be back to work tomorrow. But what I wanted to come and share with you today are my 2019 Stitch Mania plans. I think I probably alluded to what I was going to be doing for Stitch Mania in a previous video. This year I'm going to be doing Stacy Nash Primitives Stitch Mania. I'm not going to be doing 31 starts, but only 27 starts. How I'm going to do it is Monday through Friday, a new start each day, and then just one new start on Saturday and Sunday, which gives me 27. I have basket 1 and basket 2 to get through. So let's get started. I have a wide variety of projects, and I think what I'm going to be sharing today is just the project and the fabric that I'm using. I'm mostly using all call for threads, but with a few minor substitutions. These are in no particular order. I don't know which one I'm going to do first, second, etc. But I'm just going to show them to you as they come out of the basket. So the first one being Midnight in the Strawberry Garden. I picked this up at, what's the store? I'm on the struggle bus today, guys. I'm going to be honest. Stitchville, USA in Minneapolis. This is what it should look like somewhat when finished. And I'm going to be hopefully stitching this on 32 count charcoal Belfast. I've spent the last several weeks making project bags, thread books for each project so that I can hopefully stay organized. We'll see how that works out. The next one out of the basket is Grace Bridges Sampler. I've had this one in my stash for a long time. I'm very anxious to get started on this. And I'll be stitching this one on 35 count parchment linen. I've noticed, and I've stitched several of Stacy's patterns in the past. She primarily calls for 1 thread over 2 on all of her projects. It doesn't matter what the fabric count is, and I like that primitive look. So perfect union here. Next is 12 Days of Christmas Sewing Roll. I think I was inspired to do this one by Jen from Jen's Stitching Niche. I think she's the one that fairly recently finished this project. And this one will be stitched on 32 count putty from Wicks Dye Works. Sorry if I seem like I'm going a little fast, but there's a lot to get through. And this one is housed in my beautiful bag that was made by Carol, Salt Box Stitcher, that I received at the Midwest Cross Stitch Retreat. Makes me smile every time I see it. Next up is Another one that I picked up at Stitchville, Berry Basket Sewing Tray Pin Disc and Strawberry Pin Keep. I love that strawberry. And this one is being stitched on 28 count natural linen. Again, 1/2. You look at the cute thread book that I made for it. Okay. And I have to put these back in as we go along, otherwise I'll have a disaster to clean up afterwards. This one is, I've loved this ever since I first saw it. Christmas at Holly Berry Farm. I've seen many others finish this, and I cannot wait to start this on 32 count mink. Love that big white house. And not to be outdone, by Christmas we have Summer at Holly Berry Farm. And this one is being stitched on 36 count Old Mill Java. Another one that I've admired for a very long time. I'm pulling out all the big ones first. And this one is housed in my coffee bag because this one is going to take a lot of cups of coffee to complete. And my thread book is also coffee themed. However, this is not coffee themed. This is Mary Bear's sampler. I am in love. Everything about this just speaks to me. And this one is going to be stitched on 36 count parchment. Look how big this piece is, guys. This is huge. So, like I said, this one is going to take a lot of cups of coffee to complete. Smells so good. Next up, we have this beauty. And this one is called Mary Burtis. I love all those crowns. And this is stitched with DMC 310, but I am substituting Anchor Black. And it is being stitched on 28 count raw linen. And I'm really, really excited to do this one. It's called Buttermilk and Blue Sampler Sewing Bag, and it calls for Gentle Arts Simply Wool. I have never stitched with wool before, I don't believe. So pretty. And what fabric is this? Hold up. Let's see what it calls for. This is 32 count Wicks Dye Works in the color linen. I love everything about this. Look at the beautiful little scalloped border there in felted wool. And this is one that I think that I fell in love with when Nicole from Nicole's Needlework showed this a long time ago. She finished it a long time ago. I had liked it before that, but when I saw her finish, I just like, yes, I need this. It's called the Mary Bogey Sampler. And it is being stitched on 32 count Murky by Picture This Plus, which is a beautiful hand dyed, and is the perfect fabric for this style. Look at that house. I love that tiny little house. Okay. Come on. Get in there. Next up is a new release from Stacy that I fell in love with immediately, called Chinni, out of her Animal Crackers series. And Chinni is being stitched on R&R homespun, vintage homespun. She's just so sweet. I love those her little feet. And that little nest thread book is adorable. And last out of this basket is another one I've had in my collection for a very long time, Halloween Jack Sewing Roll. And this one is stitched on 32 count natural raw linen. And this also is stitched with DMC 310, but I think that I have a Victorian Motto sampler thread that I'm going to substitute for that. Okay, so that's all of the really big projects. Next we move into some smaller pieces. Love, Pin, Keep, and Heart. This is an older pattern. No, maybe not. I think this one came out like in 2017, so not so old. And this is stitched on 32 count dirty linen. And I'm using a Victorian Motto substitute on that one as well. Next up, Snowed In, Pin, Keep, and Ornament. I think I'm only going to stitch this piece, and this will be stitched on 40 count Confederate Gray. It calls for 36, but I had 40. This one has been in my stash for a while, a long while. I think it was before Stacy started putting the dates on her patterns. Sarek pocket roll. And this one is being stitched on. I think it's also dirty linen. 32 count dirty linen. I love that red peacock. So I can get all this back in here. I made several smaller project bags because I have a huge fabric stash. Here, I'll show you this one. I'll pull. And I just wanted to use up some of my fabric, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity. This one is called 4 and 20 Blackbirds, sewing roll, and strawberry emery. And this one called for 32 count R&R dye pot linen. I didn't even go looking for that because I had this piece that I had hand dyed myself that I thought would go well with that. It is 32 count. And I'll be stitching it on that. In my blackbird bag. These two, I'm doing 2 out of 1 book. Which one do I want to do first? What is this one? From the book, here I'll open it. Hollyhock Farm, and I'm actually stitching this piece right here on a piece of what am I stitching you on? Just a 32 count piece of linen. In her early days, in her books and charts, she didn't specify what kind of linen. It might just say 32 count linen. So I chose this linen. So the second piece out of this book that I'm stitching is called Peace and Plenty. It also is being stitched on 32 count linen, and it's going to look like that. Keep those two together. Next up is from one of her books called Merry Halloween. And the one that I am stitching is called the Eliza Ann Pinkeep. And I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count dyed by me using this one, Halloween Black, from Victorian Motto Sampler Shop. There's another one in here that I contemplated doing called the Old Black Boot Pin Keep, but I'll save that for another day. How cute is that? A lot of stuff will fit in these small bags. It's my okay. Another one of Stacy's early pieces is called the Peacock Sewing Roll, and this one calls for 2 pieces of linen, one light, one dark, and this one is a 32 count light, and then I'm using a 40 count dark that I hand dyed, and you stitch it together like that. I think I started collecting Stacy's patterns back in the day when she didn't have an Etsy store, and I can't remember the name of the site that she used to sell on. I don't know. But a lot of them were instant downloads. This one is excuse me, Halloween Pin Keep. Love that guy. And this will be stitched on 32 count dirty linen. And this is a 2016 piece. This one is very similar to a previous one that I showed you, and it is called Simple Pleasures Sewing Pouch. Just screams spring to me, and it is stitched on 32 count parchment by Wicks Dye Works. Okay, next up, 2 more that I'm stitching out of one book. Oh no, where's my fabric? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay, this one is called hang on. This is the I'll get it here in a second. It's from the book From Me to Thee, and I'm stitching this piece right here, which I believe is called Schoolgirl's Sewing Pouch. And it uses, excuse me, a 32 count linen, I believe. Yes. Which will be over dyed after you stitch it. And then the next one out of this book is called the Blue Flower Urn Needle Book. You see that? And it is stitched on 28 count linen. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We are getting there. This is another one that I think that I picked up at Stitchville back in October. And it is called Boxwood Manor Sewing Book and Thread Keep. I am just stitching the house, and will later stitch this, but for now just the house. And I'm stitching this on 36 count Stars Hollow from R&R. It calls for 35 count parchment, but I just had Stars Hollow in my stash, so I'm going with that. Two more. Next to last is one that I don't know where I was, but I just recently discovered this, and I think I finally found it on Country Stitches. Yellow Daisy Sewing Book. Just thought that was so cute. And this is being stitched on just a 28 count linen. I'm reusing my linen. This was a Maynia start back in 2016, I think, and I abandoned that one. That should be a very quick stitch. Maybe a start and a finish, hopefully, all in one. And last but not least, I had this in my stash prior to the Notre Dame Cathedral. Fire, but which was just devastating. My family visited that back in, well, a couple of times. The most recent visit, I think, was in 2006, maybe? No, 2003. Anyway, this one is the 1902 Paris sampler bag. Love the red. And I'm stitching this on 30 count mocha and using the call for DMC in my thread book. So friends, that is it for my Maynia pieces this year. I am excited. I don't know how much I'm going to accomplish this year, as our school year has been extended to the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So we're going pretty much the full month of May. So my May stitching time is more limited this year than it has been in the past, but I'm going to give it my best shot and at the very least get a couple of stitches in on each piece so that I can have lots of choices. I guess that's it. Thank you for joining me today. I hope that you are all having a great week, and if you're participating in Stitch Maynia this year, I hope you have a very successful Stitch Maynia, whatever that may mean to you. Whether you're doing one Stitch Maynia start, you're doing a Whip Mania, or you're doing all 31 days, I hope you enjoy it. Until next time, happy stitching. Bye for now.